Hello YouTube, Brian here. I am taking you on this ride to the National Palace Museum that's in the north of Taipei City. So I hope you guys enjoy watching me take you out there and you'll get to see what it's like on my scooter. Okay, cool. So first things first, I want to answer some questions that I got from people from my last riding video and from another video completely. That was my video of the 10 things that I love about Taiwan. And they're both related. So the first one comes from Leviathan, and he says, I have another question for a future video too. How do you find the language barrier in Taiwan? I've heard from some people that they have no problem just speaking English in Taiwan, especially in Taipei. But that was definitely not my experience living in Sanchong, or even in Taipei proper for the most part. But I wasn't in Taiwan for very long, so maybe I didn't get a full perspective on it. So what do you think? Okay, cool. Leviathan, hey, small world. My wife is from Sanchong, so yeah. Okay, so now let me read to you the next comment and then I will answer both of the questions. The next one comes from this guy, Nicholas T. And he says, another thing I'm curious about, how the local people treat foreigners, because I had my own experiences to socialize with local people in China mainland, and they are very closed to us, not friendly nor helpful at all. And speaking of language, how good are your guys' Mandarin after living for long enough time there? Because that is one of the main reasons I'm interested to go there and take a degree next fall. I believe without enough direct socialization with local people, it would be hard to improve the language. So what say you guys? Okay, cool. So Leviathan, I'll answer you first. Do I find that the language barrier in Taiwan is really, really difficult? No, not really. You're lucky in Taiwan. But there's different levels. Like in Taipei, you can basically get along with like zero Mandarin Chinese, because the signs everywhere in Taiwan are bilingual. They're in English and they're in Chinese and they're in Pinyin or Wei Giles, which is basically the romanization or the use of the Latin alphabet to write Chinese. So we're lucky with that. And then in Taipei, because Taipei is the capital of Taiwan and because it's the most populous city, you have the most international type people, the best educated people, the people who know the most English. There's a lot more English here in Taipei than compared to where I lived before, which was this little township called Hemei in central Taiwan. So yeah, you can get along without speaking Chinese. But what does it feel like really? I can only really explain it like this. Imagine when you first get here, or when you first get to China or somewhere where they speak Chinese, everything seems blurry. You don't understand anything. You can't read anything. You can't write anything. You can't speak anything. And then slowly it gets less and less blurry, right? Until it gets to be like halfway and you understand most of the things that you see on billboards and stuff. And then hopefully, eventually, I'm not there yet, I'm not even close, nothing's blurry, everything's in sharp focus, and you can speak and read and write everything with no problem. I'm not even close to that, but when I first got here, everything was blurry. I didn't understand anything, and now I can understand quite a bit. So there's a big difference between when I first came here to what I'm living now. There's a big difference between the two. So okay, now Nick T. How do local people treat foreigners? Yeah, I don't want to talk about the race issue. I already made 2 videos about the race issue here in Taiwan racism and like race relations. So Nick T, please check those two out. I've already commented and recommended you to check those two out. I hope you do. They're informative. But as far as your question about Mandarin goes, so Taiwanese people are more friendly, and they'll go out of their way to do more to try to help you understand and try to speak English with you, or at least try to speak Mandarin to you slowly. Okay. And also, I agree with you. I think you need a lot of direct socialization. Like, you need to interact with the local people. You need to like talk to them and try, even if you don't know like any Chinese, you need to try to communicate with them, and that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to learn words and phrases and stuff, is by communicating with real people down on the ground, right? Like in real life, you know, like learning videos on YouTube or from computer programs is only going to get you so far. You're going to have to interact, right? And if you really, Nick T, if you really want to learn a lot, you should take a proper Mandarin class, which is something I've wanted to do for a very long time, but I haven't had the opportunity to do. So there's that. And okay, so how good is my Mandarin, Nick T? I can order food, I can order drinks, I can tell a taxi driver where I want to go, I can read basic things, I can chat to my wife with very basic sentences, very basic things, I can count. It's all very basic. See, because I've never taken a proper class, I've never been able to level up, so to speak. So I'm pretty basic, but Nick T, if you take a class, I'm sure you're going to level up real quick, and your Mandarin will get good real quick if you socialize with local people here on the ground, and you ask a lot of questions. And also, if you just spend a lot of time listening, if you just, I don't want to sound rude, but sometimes you just got to like shut up and listen to what people are saying and take it all in and process that, right? So that helps me a lot. Like, I just shut up and listen, and I try to like take in what people are saying, right? That helps me learn like these phrases and stuff. Later, after they're done talking, I can ask questions like, what does that mean? What did you say just there? Okay? And that's how I learn. Okay, so guys, thank you for the questions. I hope I'll get more questions in the future. And okay, now moving on to the topics I want to talk about. So recently in Taiwan, there's been a lot of pollution, a lot of air pollution. So I want to talk about the environment. So the first thing I want to talk about is this article from the China Post, which talks about the city of Taichung in talks with Taipower, which is the state-run power corporation here on the island of Taiwan. They're in talks with them to cut carbon emissions because Taichung in particular has a serious pollution problem, and we can no longer blame it on China because it's not China. Taichung, from some comments I've read here on the internet, just the city of Taichung produces more carbon than the entire nation of Switzerland, so that is a major problem. So the city of Taichung is in talks to cut carbon emissions, and they want to move away from coal-fired power plants, and they want to move more towards wind and solar or natural gas or things like that. And I hope that goes ahead because Taiwan has serious problems with air quality lately, more than from when I just got here. Just the other day, I was walking my students from their elementary school to my cram school, and the air was thick and foul, and it had a bad odor. So, and I've never seen that before. So that tells me that air pollution is like a growing issue, a big problem, and it scares me. It scares me for my health and for my family's health and for my son's health and all that stuff. Okay, so that was the first one. That's air pollution from the China Post. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about, there was an article posted from Focus Taiwan News Channel. You can find them online, and it's about the local county magistrate, this guy, Chun Guangfu, I'm probably getting that wrong, but he's a local county magistrate in the Penghu Islands, which, if you don't know the Penghu Islands, they're just off the coast of Taiwan. They're close to Tainan, it seems, and Yunlin and Jiayi. So, yeah, they're the Penghu Islands. And so this local county magistrate is pushing for an expansion of a desalination plant. So if you don't know what desalination is, it's basically they set up this plant with this technology that takes ocean water, which is salty and undrinkable and unusable, and it processes it and it removes the salt and it produces clean, fresh water. So he's seeking support for that because Taiwan recently has had major issues with water supplies. We've had a drought and it's hit the south of Taiwan particularly hard. Kaohsiung and Pingdong and Tainan have been very dry and they've run out of water, and we've even had to do water rationing in New Taipei City. So this guy, this county magistrate, is pushing for an expansion of their desalination plant so they can have more fresh water without using the actual groundwater, and they want to go from what they have now, which is 15,500 cubic meters of water today, and they want to expand that by another 6,000 cubic meters, so that Taiwan, well, at least the Penghu Islands, will be less reliant on groundwater, and if a drought strikes, it won't be that severe, and people will be able to basically weather that storm, if you want to put it that way. They'll be able to weather that storm easier. They'll have an easier time getting through dry periods. And okay, that is basically the end of that, guys. That's the stuff I wanted to talk about, the language and the environment problems that we have at the moment. So thanks very much. Thanks for coming with me on my scooter journey to the National Palace Museum, which, by the way, I just rode there, but I've never actually been inside, so one of these days I gotta go and do that. And if you come here to Taiwan, I recommend that you visit the National Palace Museum. If for nothing else, because of this fact, when the Kuomintang evacuated from China, you can watch my history video of Taiwan to understand what I'm talking about. When the Kuomintang, the KMT, evacuated from China, they took with them thousands and thousands of years of Chinese history with them. They took all these artifacts and all these things with them, and now all those artifacts and all those historical things are housed in the National Palace Museum. And they are constantly rotating the collections they have on display in the National Palace Museum. So you can go there and see thousands of years of history, and even if you visit there multiple times, there's a chance you'll probably never see all of it because they have 5,000 years of history in this museum. So yeah, if you ever have a chance, guys, check that museum out. Thanks so much again for riding with me out to the museum. Thanks for watching this video. As always, comment, rate, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, right? Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, drop me a comment, all that stuff. And please, guys, leave me more questions for the future so I can answer them and do another video, do another writing video where I go out into the world. All right, thanks very much, guys. Bye-bye.